What is happening, my gurus? Wishing you guys all an epic Monday and an epic start to the week. Obviously, things are going a little bit in the red direction for us this week as well. It looks like we are getting a new weekly pullback of the new weekly candle as well. I'll dive a little bit more into the charts now, but before I do so, I just want to let you guys know that this video is being produced in collaboration with a company that I'm very excited for and about. It's a brand and a company that I've obviously been working to develop and working with the team to develop this incredible platform that's basically going to use some really epic technology, some really proprietary technology that's going to give people access to the joys and the wonders of machine learning and AI generated trading tools and trading technologies. So I'll tell you guys a little bit more about this before I carry on. It's basically a company called equal.org. It's a very interesting company. It's an interesting setup. It's not your average trading platform, and it's definitely not your average fund, in the sense that this company is developed on egalitarian values, which means that everybody is equal in the company, hence the name. And the great thing about it is that all of the investors, all of the shareholders are all equal, proportional to the money that they put into the investment and obviously into the system as well. So what that means is, in your general, let's say, to take a normal fund, for example, so the founders of the fund, the people that are at the top of the fund, the partners, the managers, they obviously take proportional equity due to their stake in the company or as a large shareholder. Whereas in this company, for example, as opposed to that, instead of there being sort of a hierarchy with the managers, with the founders, and with the people who are running the fund, everybody is literally equal. And the only thing that separates you from the next shareholder is obviously the money that gets put in as part of your investment. So really genius tech. I'll quickly show you guys the website. You can just take a quick run through, but I just wanted to say thank you to the Equal guys for obviously sponsoring this video and putting it together. What we're going to be doing for all of the gurus and for those of you that are watching these videos, we're going to be setting up an AMA with the Equal founders and with the guys who are obviously running the show there and putting all this tech together. So it's going to be really cool. It's going to allow everybody that's watching this video private access to obviously the first seed round of investment, as well as a one-on-one with the guys from the team, myself included as well, obviously being the person that built and developed the brand and obviously is developing the communication strategy for these guys as well. I'll definitely be in there. So any of the gurus that are keen on this, please just hit me up in the channel, hit me up in the group, and I will let you guys know when we all find a time to make the AMA together with Equal. It's super, super exciting stuff. I highly recommend that you guys take a visit here to equal.org. It's spelled EQWALL.org, and you can just obviously have a look at their white paper, take a read through, take a look at this animation, very, very quick video explaining exactly how they work and what the innovation is behind their technology. It is really, really incredible. It's really next level, and I think what's going to set this apart from most other people in this game, especially within the fund game, as every guy and his dog is now running a crypto fund, what's really going to change the game here for me with these guys is the fact that they are relying on tech, and there is sort of minimal human input, which allows for emotionless trading, which, as we know, is definitely the way forward and definitely the best way to trade. So I'd rather have a machine trading for me on my behalf. I will keep you guys posted, so please do just let me know if you guys are keen to sign up for the AMA, and of course, yeah, there'll be obviously links down below for you guys. Check everything out in the video. But yeah, let's hop into the charts and let's see what's happening. So we're obviously seeing a bit of a breakdown today. I'm just going to enlarge the chart here. We're looking at the daily candle. Let's take a look at our big macro range. So obviously what we had been discussing for quite a long time is that we are in this massive sort of macro range where at the lowest point we're looking at about 28,500. I'd probably even go as far as to say it's probably 29, closer to 29 is the bottom of the range, but obviously we put it there just to mark off those weekly and daily lows that we did get back in May, and then obviously on the retests at the beginning of last year. So, and then, those sort of preceded the bull run as well, which is quite an interesting sort of look at it from a macro range perspective. So we've obviously come down to the lows here. We've come down to the highs. It's looking to me like it's obviously wanting to sort of complete the range here and come back down. Not ideal. It's not where we all thought we'd be here. To be honest, I mean, I think most traders, myself included, were sort of convinced that we had sort of found the bottom over there. We'd found the reversal around here, and it would have been enough of a use case to send us back to the top. around May-ish, like that, before obviously going into the summer, the Northern Hemisphere summer, which is generally unpredictable. It can be a bullish period, but obviously that is not what's happening, and we are seeing a new breakdown in the charts, which means we could very, very well see sort of the 35, 36K region. I think that's where most people are obviously seeing it down at the order books. Unfortunately, as we know, every time that we are seeing things pretty clearly and things are evidently sort of obvious, that is what the manipulators, the market makers, the composite man, as Wyckoff referred to them as taking through the common knowledge, and they will force the market to take the path of most pain. Raoul Paul called it at the end of last year. And again, guys, you have to understand something. Maximum respect for this guy, because someone asked Raoul Paul, I think it was in October last year, Pumptober, things were cooking, things were raging, and they said to him, where's it going? You've got Plan B saying 100K by the end of the year, etc., etc., etc. And he literally said to the interviewer, I think it was a Bloomberg interview, I can't remember exactly, but he said to her, the market will get to 100K, but it will take the path of most pain. And I think it's pretty clear to all of us that it's definitely doing that. And the reason it does that is because you cannot have an only up market. There are always going to be people who are cashing out and taking profits on everybody else's expense. And at the end of the day, the best way to do it is to swim with the whales, to start looking at it and analyzing it and saying, if everybody's so convinced that it's going down here, everybody's so convinced that it's going up here, it's probably going to do the exact opposite. I mean, we've had a few times where the whole crypto world was all long on Bitcoin, only for it to go and absolutely dump on us based on whatever fundamental events happening, whether it's the looming threat of war or whether it's whatever it is on the Fed side, the economic side, whatever that case may be. So hopping back into the charts here, that's what we're looking at now in terms of the macro. Again, we could very, very well be seeing it come down to here to confirm these levels before carrying on. I'm not too sure. I think that if it does get down here, to be quite honest with you, I think anything below 36 is going to see this. I think anything below 36, 35 at this point, if we break there, we're going to lose the major support, and it's going to have to come here and confirm this. Anything below that, of course, and that would be a real cause for concern. But I do believe that would probably be in conjunction with a black swan event, the looming threat of war, etc., 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 as we've been through many times. Cool. So that's pretty much what we're looking at there. I just want to have a look at this chart over here, show you guys some interesting indicators on the 3-day. Obviously, we've got a Fibonacci trend-based extension going on here, just to sort of see where we might land up, which is probably going to give us here maybe a relief bounce there. Otherwise, it is most likely going to have to come down here. And this is where the 35 to 36K region is coming through, and where people are picking it up on most of the TA in terms of where we could be headed from here. Now, when looking at this through a 3-day lens, I just want to quickly show you guys some of the indicators based on the 3-day. Obviously, we still have the momentum oscillators that we discussed, the MACD indicators, which were giving us a super bullish cross. At the sorry, let me open this up here. We were getting a super bullish cross at the beginning of last week. This was obviously before the breakdown. This is when things were looking relatively good. And as you guys can see here, this is sort of where we got the cross. The indicator was showing that we should be seeing some heavy upside pressure, which was of course not to be. I think at the end of the day, we're dealing with such heavy fundamentals that the technicals are just not sound enough for us to make sort of a good enough risk-free or at least risk-mitigated trading decisions. So unfortunately, we are seeing a bit of bearishness incoming. Obviously, with the RSI, you guys can see it's obviously come up to the top here, come up to the top of these levels, and it is starting to make its way to the south side once again. So it is probably what's going to be happening in terms of bearishness. We are most likely going to need to clear the 35, 36K region from here. The only way that I see it not happening is if we somehow put in maybe a higher low around these regions here. But again, there really isn't too much juice going on here, and there really isn't too much else that's happening between the 36 and the 38K range. So I don't really see that being the case. I'm not really seeing a relief bounce over here, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, we've got, let me just quickly change this up and over here. We'll look at it on a weekly. I'm going to quickly pop through onto the bull market support band, the two moving averages that have become very good friends of ours, thanks to Mr. Ben Cowan, of course. for being one of the first people that I at least saw sort of using it and making use of the support band. So sort of just to see where we are, and something that was recently covered by him as well was the fact that we had the test and rejection. We've got the test and rejection. It's going to require another test. Hopefully we can clear it. We can bounce above it and obviously flip it as support. You guys can see, I won't go back into too much historical data over here, just based on where the band was, but you can sort of see, and I have shown you guys a few times how this band interacts and how it works, and sort of what happens once we confirm this band as support. You can see literally what happened here with that rejection. So I mean, there's a lot going on with this band. It's a great indicator, great thing to look at in terms of how we can approach the upcoming sort of moves and the upcoming fundamentals that are going to be impacting the market based on the Fed and J Powell and the rate hikes, etc. I mean, it's been pretty much a story of everyone's lives for the last 2 to 3 weeks. The entire market is sort of at a standstill, where investors just simply do not want to enter the market at these points. A lot of investors are still staggering in. A lot of them are sort of dollar cost averaging into the market, which is great. It's good to see that. And I think there's a lot of conviction around here, because one thing I always say to people is, people are always trying to save a buck. So they're not, they don't want to buy 40, they want to buy 35. They don't want to buy 35, they want to buy 30. They don't want to buy 32, 28, whatever the case is. And I always say, at the end of the day, if Bitcoin goes to 150, 200, 250, $300,000, is it going to matter whether you bought at 40 or 30? It's not going to matter. It's not going to change your outlook, and it's definitely not going to change the way that your returns are showing up in your portfolio. So for me, dollar cost averaging, this is a good place to buy. It could go down to 28. For me, that wouldn't even be a concern, as it would just be simply completing the full sort of macro range and the macro picture, which we've discussed. So obviously with the moving averages, we've had all of these death crosses and golden crosses and all the other things that have been sort of leading the sentiment over the last couple of weeks, or let's say over the last couple of months. Unfortunately, not too much else going on here with the moving averages on the daily time frame. So just quickly before I do shut it all off, and before we close up this video, I want to quickly just have a look at the intraday chart. I will not be looking to trade these levels. Unfortunately, there is just way too much volatility based on fundamentals that I think are going to make even the best traders second guess a lot of their decision making. You can sort of see, I mean, it's looking pretty clear that it's going to come down to here. We'll probably see if we'll hang around this level. It might even range maybe for a few days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks before going up again. Really hard to tell. Very unpredictable point in the market, especially with all the things that are looming. So at the end of the day, it's just, for me, where we are at the moment is it's pretty much a sit and wait. That's it. There's nothing else you guys can do. I think, in terms of sitting on your hands, probably makes the most sense unless you are looking to deploy capital. If you are looking to deploy capital, and again, this is not financial advice, I would be looking to stagger in over here, and I would probably be looking at your blue chips, your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, and then some of the larger market cap altcoins like your Binances, your Links, your Ethereums, etc. Well, Ethereum obviously part of the blue chips, but I definitely would look at going into more of the stable altcoin options, the ones that are not going to bleed too much off the back of a Bitcoin dump, and the ones that can hold their own. So that's pretty much the long and the short of it. Obviously, quickly before we move through and before we close this up, I will quickly just touch on the Bitcoin CME gap that was there this morning. Obviously, with the CME closing on Friday, there was a small gap that was created, but it seems to have been filled. It's this gap over here. Sorry about that. It's this gap over here. So this is sort of the gap we're talking about. It basically got filled. I don't see it as sort of still being there as a gap that needs to be filled and need to be addressed. We can now look at Bitcoin dominance. Unfortunately, Bitcoin dominance is doing, it's really low, which would otherwise give a case for some of the alts to pop, which we can see. I mean, I'm not too sure if anybody saw it over the weekend, but Komodo absolutely ripped over the weekend. The entire market was bleeding, and Komodo was doing 25%. So huge use case there for those of you that are looking to trade certain altcoins that are primed to explode. But as it stands at the moment, again, like I said, I'm not trading these levels. There is just way too much volatility to be in good risk mitigation. Those of you that are keen, you can always hit me up. Let me know which ones you are looking to trade, and I will check with you and check for you with absolute pleasure, and let you guys know. Obviously, with the charts, we can start getting into any of the alt charts. If you guys do have specific altcoins you want me to chart, always feel free to swing them over. I would be more than happy to check those for you and to obviously chart them for you. So thank you so much again to Equal for hosting and facilitating this video. Guys, please, for those of you that are interested in the AMA with the Equal founders and the people in the project, it's a great team of absolute legends, super, super smart guys doing super cool things. So let me know if you are keen to join the AMA. It'll probably take place maybe sometime this week, maybe sometime next week. And then obviously I'll be there every step of the way to help facilitate whatever you guys need in terms of information. But yeah, definitely check them out, equal.org. If you guys are enjoying the content, please always make sure to do the whole like, comment, subscribe jig. And yeah, I really appreciate those of you that do take the time out to watch these videos. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you guys in a few days, or if we see some massive market moves. But I'll be in the group as always. Any questions, hit me up there. Have a stellar Monday, gurus.